Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rick Varga, Certified Arborist, City of Avon, along with Matt Smith, Tree Commission member. And we're here today to talk about ornamental tree pruning. Today, we're talking about ornamental tree pruning, and one of the most important factors that we need to know is the proper tools, like any other job. And the proper tool for tree pruning are bypass loppers, a bypass pruning shear, and a handsaw. Those are the three most important tools that you're going to need for pruning ornamental trees. And the reason, our objectives are basically for clearance, to reduce wind resistance, maintain health, ensure improved views, help for future tree failures, and also for aesthetics. And the thing is you can see the tree behind us is a Prunus Newport, a flowering plum. And it's never been pruned before, so there's a lot of growth on the inside. It's very thick, so we're going to have to make sure that we take in consideration we're going to start our pruning procedures. And first and foremost, we always look on the inside of the tree where the branching is taking place. And you can see in this tree how many branches and how thick it is on the inside. And a lot of these branches are rubbing against each other. And the problem there is as the two branches rub against each other, that's causing problems within the bark and the cambium layer. It can cause injury and infestation of disease and insects. So we want to look at that first and foremost to take away any branches that are crossing over, like this branch right here. And you can see how that branch was growing into everything else, and look at that. And you can see the other branches in here, like this one needs to be taken out. It's crossing into everything. And there's another branch over here. So there's quite a few branches that we need to prune out of this particular tree to get the air and light and proper growing for this tree. One of the other things that we always talk about, they always indicated, oh, a tree should be good enough for a bird to fly through it if necessary, to give you some idea. And the other thing is when we're pruning a tree, it's very important that we don't take off any more than 25% of the tree. And I'm always asked questions about, oh, what should I prune or when should I prune? Well, the most important thing you have to remember is doing the 3 Ds, pruning dead, diseased, and damaged. And if you don't do anything else, I tell everybody at least do that. That's following proper health procedures. Then from there you start looking at the tree as far as crossing branches out, trying to reduce the overall crown of the tree. But it's very important that you always start basically from the inside of the tree and work your way out. If you see somebody pruning trees and are just working on the very outside, then you know that that could be a problem. So the one thing you have to remember is I made a cut here. And if you ever see a stub like this, that is what you do not want to see. Because when you leave a stub like this, that stub eventually is just going to die and could cause a problem inside the tree as far as infestation of disease and insects. So you want to make sure that you cut it back to the collar. Right there is the collar. You do not want to cut inside that. You want to cut right at that collar. So that gives you the perfect cut. You got to remember, a plant doesn't heal, it seals. So it starts forming a seal around this, and it's going to look like a donut in a couple of years, and that's what you want to see. And the other thing that's the question is, oh, should I spray pruning paint? All research has indicated you never want to spray paint on a fresh cut because you're inhibiting the overall physiological process of a plant to heal over. Just like if you had a cut on your arm, you wouldn't spray it with paint. You know, there wouldn't be any oxygen getting into it. You want to have that physiological process take place. The only time that you want to even slightly consider pruning paint is on oak trees because of oak wilt. That's the only time you want to even remotely consider using pruning paint. One thing we want to remember is how to prune larger limbs. It's very important that we have a process where we make an undercut on the branch and then make a cut up here first, because if we try to cut it back here, what's going to happen is that some of this tissue here and bark could rip off and cause damage down here. So it's a cut here, and then a cut here, and then a cut here. So that's on a larger branch, it's very important to remember that particular procedure. And what we're doing on this larger branch, if we take this off, it's called a reduction cut, because we're trying to form, the other thing we're trying to do is form a uniform branching throughout the tree. So the branching is uniform all the way through the tree. And you never want to remove more than 25% of the branches at any given time. It's better to go through 1 year and clean up the tree, the branching, the crossing branches, branches that are rubbing, and get that particular aspect accomplished. And then you can go back again and redo it. And once you thin the tree out, get all the branches, then you look at the outside, the perimeter, and you can kind of like do a little bit of shaping at that particular point. The thing you have to remember when you go on the outside of the tree and prune it, there's hormones in this plant called auxin, which elongates the branching and goes to what we call the apical dominance. And what happens if you just went along and cut just the ends like this, right there, you stimulate the particular hormone and it's going to create branching all in this particular area. So if I went around this tree and just clipped off the ends, what I'm creating is a lot of growth on the tips, and eventually all that growth is going to weigh down the branch and could eventually compromise that branch, which is called damage and break. So you never want to cut those particular tips, those lateral buds, because you create more growth on the outer part of the branch. What you want, because you're stimulating that hormone. So you want to be always careful about that particular aspect. All right, I want to thank you from the City of Avon and the Avon Tree Commission, and we're looking forward to doing more videos in the future. So look us up on the Avon Tree Commission website, and hope to see you soon. Thank you.